Ready to roll, Clerk Doyle? All right. Are the council members with us ready to proceed? All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting of your Pontiac City Council for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 is hereby called to order. We give the floor to Councilman Parker to introduce this evening's invocation.
Thank you, Brother President. And this evening we are glad and proud to have the winner of the Martin Luther King Justice Award with us this evening, who's also a minister. And we're going to ask her to give us our invocation today. Ms. Minister Veronica Taylor.
First, honor God, who's the head of our lives. Can you bow your head and let's pray? Father God, as I come humble as I know how, I'm just asking you to continue to keep your hands on this city, on these people here, on the council members, on the people in the community, all across the state of this United States with this snow going on, Lord. And Lord, I'm asking you, and I'm pleading the blood of Jesus over this whole entire nation. I'm asking you, Lord, to come full circle and let them know that you are God. And whatever going on in each city and across this nation, that you are in control. And I'm pleading the blood in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We now as a community join in for a moment of silence to remember those who have departed in recent weeks. If there are names that haven't been able to be identified through obituaries or submissions by other community members, please, we always welcome, so that way we can ensure that our neighbors are acknowledged, recognized, and remembered. We offer the names of James Bailey, Bessie Banks, Luradine Barrett, Darlene Bowie, Christopher Carradine, Catherine Carter, Thelma Clark, Tommy Cooks, Tony Cox, Esteban Cruz Luciano, Harold Dalton, Calvin Elam Jr., Milton Ellison, James Finney, Juan Gaetan Gonzalez, Dale Green, Beatrice Hernandez, Robert Freiberg, Joyce May Frizzell, Bruce Jacobson, Candace Johnson, Nathaniel Kinney, LaShawn Kitts McCullum, Bob Lake, Kanique McLarimore, Barbara or BJ Matoyer, Fadi Nassar, Bessie Page, Janice Parent, Virgie Payne, Stephen Posey, Mary Roberson, Rosa Roberts, Susie Robinson, Verge Schoolboy Smith, Herbert Smothers, Mary Ann Staley, Linda Stubbs, Glenn Taylor, Brenda Thomas, Maud Thomas, Freeman Watkins, Latoy White, Paul Wilson, Leotha Windsor, Pauline Womble, and Joshua Ibarra. Please join us as a community for a moment of silence. Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, we recently found out that Mary Gray, I believe her last name was Robertson, recently passed. She was a former city employee, and so we probably We'll follow up with that, but I was informed that she has passed.
All right.
Long-term employee of the city of Pontiac.
So Ms. Robertson had city employment history. Thank you for
Yes.
flagging that.
Yes.
We'll pursue a resolution honoring her service and her life to the city. Thank you very much. Roll call, Clerk Doyle.
Harrington. Goodman.
Here.
James.
Here?
McGinnis.
Present.
Nicholson. Parker.
Here.
Rutherford. Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Quorum being established, could I please have a motion to excuse council members Carrington, Nicholson, and Rutherford for personal reasons?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Goodman, seconded by Councilman Parker. Excuse me. Pro Tem Carrington may join us depending on how long the meeting runs, coming late from work, but since we may be concluded by the time he gets here, it's still appropriate for us to excuse him for personal reasons. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Clerk Doyle.
Goodman.
Yes.
James.
Yes?
McGinnis.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
4 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. They are hereby excused. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Parker, seconded by Councilman Goodman. The motion is now before us. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to take the current item number 16 and make it the new number 9, and all items to move down, so that way we can accommodate the virtual participation of one part of the conversation, and that way we don't have any further likelihood of technical difficulties, and also adding a discussion item for better preparation for winter weather emergencies as a new added discussion item. Is there such an amendment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
For the president.
Yes.
I seem to be missing.
I'm missing it too.
Okay.
So just want to flag for the clerk that we have page 1 of the agenda, but then we're missing page 2. It goes right to page 3.
Okay.
So if your team is able to help us
right.
produce that, so that way we can follow along accordingly.
Okay.
So you don't have it to read anyway?
I don't have it to read. I just know that what was resolution number 16, we want to move up to be the new number 9, and everything else move down, and to add the first of, there are no other existing discussion items, so the
Do
one
you know
new
what
discussion item.
what 16 was?
Deputy Mayor Stevens, can you paraphrase what resolution number 16 is? If you had it, you might have just handed it off to make copies.
I did, but I do know it is a resolution for procuring assistance in the purchasing department.
Okay.
All right. So that amendment was it moved?
Yes.
And was it seconded?
I didn't get a move in a second yet.
There was a move, there was not a second.
Moved by Goodman, the second for the amendment. Seconded by Parker, which changes the order of the resolutions and adds a discussion item. Hearing no further discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle on the amendment to the agenda.
James.
Here, yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
4 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The agenda amendment has been adopted. We're back to the main motion, the agenda as amended. Any further discussions or changes? Hearing nothing further, roll call.
Brother President.
Yes.
I'm sorry for delay, but I would ask that since at least 3 of our members are missing today, that we would delay the subcommittee reports.
That's certainly fine. It's been moved by Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Parker, seconded by Councilman James, that we remove the subcommittee reports this week, and then we'll incorporate that into next week's agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Doyle on the motion to amend the agenda.
Goodman.
Yes.
James.
Yes?
McGinnis.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
4 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. We're now to the main motion, the agenda as amended. Are there any final discussion or amendments? Hearing none, speakers list exhausted. Roll call on adoption of the
Wait, I
agenda as
must,
amended.
I
Clerk
must have
Doyle.
missed something. I thought we already took the vote to
That
amend
was,
the agenda.
no, that was another amendment, which was removing subcommittee reports.
Okay. Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
4 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The agenda as amended is adopted. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Parker, seconded by Councilwoman James, that we approve the consent agenda, which has 2 sets of meeting minutes, the January 8th Economic Development, Housing and Planning Subcommittee of the City Council and the January 9th regular City Council meeting minutes. Roll call and adoption of the consent agenda. Clerk Doyle.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington.
I'm sorry, could you?
This is the approval of the consent agenda.
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The consent agenda is adopted. We are now at recognition of elected officials. Are there any current elected officials in the community that wish to address the City Council about their role?
First, I give honor to God to you all here, as y'all state precinct delegate as well as the voter protection. I need all of you all to return your absentee application because we have we have a voter coming up here, elected on the 27th of this month. So I need all applications returned back to the clerk office. Please take them in, fill it out clearly across the top, fill your name in, and put what party you with, and please get it back in so we can get ready to get these ballots out. It's very important, and it's very, very serious this year. Thank you.
Good evening, President McGinnis, Pro Tem Carrington, City Council, Deputy Mayor. I come on behalf, I'm Kermit Williams, Vice Chair of the Charter Commission. I just want to let everybody know that we're going to be meeting for the charter every Thursday at 6 o'clock for the foreseeable future, and then we have some Saturdays in there. We have about a month to finish the charter and get it to the Attorney General's office and the Governor's office, and then it will go before the people in the August ballot. So it's important that you come and make your viewpoints heard. Thank you to Councilwoman James, President McGinnis, and also the mayor have come and spoke at our charter meeting, and I think it's made the charter better than it would have been without them coming in and speaking. So I invite all the rest of the council in order to come in there and citizens, 6 o'clock in the city council chambers every Thursday. So please put your input in there before we actually get it to the Attorney General and the Governor's office, because at that point, the charter will be what the charter will be, and then you only have a choice of voting it up or down. So I think we have some great things in there. Last week's discussion was about an integrity officer for the city, just to make sure that it was in compliance in every shape, form, or direction. I would also ask, now that you added winter preparedness to the agenda, I would like to address that as an agenda address. So thank you, and everybody have a good evening.
Any further requests for recognition of elected officials? Hearing none, we move on now to agenda address. Pro Tem Carrington, the first request.
Yes. Thank you, President McGinnis. Ms. Beatrice Wright. Dr. Deirdre Waterman.
Good to see Deputy McDougall here as our community police officer. I understand we'll be seeing him more regularly. Welcome. Happy to have you here. I would like to speak particularly to the Paul Wilson, who you are honoring this evening. Duly noted and duly deserved. Paul Wilson was a longstanding member of the community. a longtime member of Newman AME Church, and it's altogether fitting that we honor him as a pillar of this community. One of the things that I hope you will also recognize and honor him is that Paul was a strong advocate of strong neighborhoods. He's very proud of his neighborhood and his community. And he had taken the initiative to go around and to get 141 signatures of his fellow citizens, his neighbors, to keep the council from voting to commercialize his district. He felt very sincerely passionate about this, and he asked if I would support that, which I did, because as part of what I'm continuing to do following my term as mayor is continuing to build resilient neighborhoods that people can be proud of, that they invest in. And unfortunately, the council decided to go ahead anyway. The District 7, which is Councilman Carrington's district, did vote against it, but happened too late to really acquaint the council on the passion that the people who voted, who signed those ballots. Anytime you get 140 people, neighbors, to sign a ballot, then that's something that should be honored and respected. So, though you're saying in words that you respect him, and I say this on behalf of his wife as well, who I sent my condolences to. But if you really want to honor him, I hope you will continue to follow along this particular project and see if you continue to honor the wishes of those who wanted to safeguard their communities and to make sure that that project gets brought along so it doesn't commercialize or disfigure the district.
That does conclude your time.
Thank you, Dr. Waterman. Ms. Beatrice-Wright.
Good evening, council, deputy mayor, and all the guests and public. I wanted to just say a couple of things about some agenda items. There are several resolutions coming up on the agenda. And they start with, I'm flipping the page, bear with me. They start with number 10 that I read, a resolution for an increase of $89,000, a resolution for the award of $5 million, a resolution for revenues in the amount of $5 million, resolution to approve substation modifications. You know, I want to make a resolution, and I'm saying it in jest. I would like for us to take and give our young people a good footing in life. If they have a degree, I noted that we had a job opening as an accountant. Little did I know that I knew the individual who was a former accountant, who had spent 10 years in accounting and had asked for a raise. Now, I just noted millions of dollars in resolutions, and this young person wanted a raise as an accountant. I think she's accountant 1. And if Ms. Borngesser was here, I'm sure she could attest to this young woman's abilities. So she did ask for a raise, but she wasn't given it. And so in a matter of a week, Detroit picked up this young woman and gave her a $15,000 raise. So I'm not calling any names because for as long as I lived in Pontiac, I know this young woman personally, but I'm ashamed to say that I did not know that she worked for the city of Pontiac. So that's all I want to say on resolutions.
That does conclude your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Mr. Carlton Jones.
Good evening. I agree with you, B, once again. We got a lot of talent in here. We got to find a way to retain and keep this talent. I want to speak also to agenda item number 8, Mr. Paul Wilson. As you all know, if maybe you didn't know, he was laid to rest at Newman Church, had services at Newman Church this past Friday. I knew Paul Wilson real well, extremely well. And I think he was highly respected throughout this city by a lot of people. And if anybody remember, he came down here in his own way that he was really trying to voice and be a voice for the people in the community from which he's lived for years. Now, I know we do things around here. We try to go ahead and say we want to respect people, but the people he was representing, when all went down, they felt disrespected. I talked to his wife today, and she said, well, she can appreciate the resolution. She said, but one thing she know for sure that Paul lived for was trying to maintain that community as a residential property. Now, I know it went down. We all know who was down here. They was really opposed to what was being done with that zoning change. And I'll say, council, if you really want to be about doing resolutions and be sincere, we need to consider what people stood for and what they stand for, even in their passing. And she asked me personally, Ms. Carolyn Wilson, she said, if they really want to do something for Paul, do whatever they can to make sure that that property stay residential over at that school at Mark Twain. Now, I know we passed some things, and they was totally opposed to it and how it went down. I didn't agree with it, but I think they really got a real sore spot about that, and she attributed to the work that Paul did with that. And I just want everybody to know he stands tall right now for his work in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kermit Williams.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. Deputy Mayor, it's good to see you. I know wintertime is the bane of the existence of elected officials, so I didn't come down here to criticize you today, but I did come to ask for some help. The entrance to Fox Point and to Charles Lane off of the MLK Bridge is atrocious. I don't know, because the bridge is closed, I don't know why that wasn't plowed correctly in order to get into that, but now it's turning to ice. Also, Sanford Street is pretty much an ice hill. And so my suggestion is, and I know you guys are working on getting a new DPW facility and other things, but I think that even on Woodward, the coalition that goes between Birmingham and the other parts of Woodward were totally different than the city of Pontiac. Is there a way to actually talk to the surrounding municipalities to find out when they're sorting the streets so we can be on the same page and the same tempo? I know you guys are rebuilding the department that's been decimated by emergency management, selling equipment and things like that, but I believe that the city of Pontiac is in a pretty good place because we haven't had as bad of a winter as possible. So there should have been some money available to actually deal with this particular snow emergency. So I'm just wondering, as y'all look through the process, how to actually increase not only the level of service, but when we were part of DPW, we used brine instead of regular salt. And so I haven't seen the trucks, and I don't know if you have equipment that is using brine instead of salt to deal with the lower temperatures and making sure the streets are safe, especially for our senior citizens. We have a lot of hospital workers that traverse across Woodward from that Martin Luther King entrance, and they haven't been able to walk anywhere else.
Conclude your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Darlene Clark, what item? Okay.
There's actually two things I want to address, if you don't mind, and just real quick. Could you?
Well, is it on the agenda? Is it an agenda item?
Yeah, DPW,
And what's the other one?
for the sheriff.
The sheriff. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Can I go ahead now?
Yes.
Okay. For DPW, is there any way possible you can, someone on the council or can tell the people how many snow removal vehicles you have, the DPW is responsible for, whoever's responsible? Because there's in question that a lot of the streets are, like Mr. Kermit said, that a lot of the streets are not getting done, and it's really in bad shape. Secondly, the sheriff, and I know you guys have to a resolution to vote, but could you answer the question for the people that, for so few people here, you have two sheriffs in here standing guard for council. Now, I know you have to have someone here, and that's fine, but you have two on occasion when they can be out on the workforce to attend to the crime that the city of Pontiac has.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. President McGinnis, that concludes agenda address.
All right, we are at number 8. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution honoring the life and service of Paul Wilson?
Moved by Carrington.
Support. It's been moved by Pro Tem Carrington and seconded by Councilman Parker. A council tribute was also prepared, and thank you to Pro Tem Carrington for attending and delivering that to the family and being in touch with the family, in addition to city council staff. But we also wanted to make sure that it was added to the record because of, in part, not only his importance to the community, but also his service on city boards and commissions. And so, per the policy of the city council, we adopt resolutions honoring current or former city employees and current or former volunteers on city boards and commissions. And we want to make sure that that is reflected in perpetuity in the city's official record. Any further discussion on the motion before us? Councilwoman James.
I would just like to say, I know that a lot has been said about Paul's work in the community, but I would also like to represent his Pontiac Motor family or his GM family. I worked with Paul for probably 10 years in the sheet metal facility at Pontiac Motor. He was a die maker and became a die maker foreman and manager. And the same thing that, we were saying about him in terms of his community advocacy, his integrity, he had that same reputation in the plant and, in his work environment. So it was just he was a wonderful man. And I just want, in representation of his work family, I want to say that we, dearly loved him and will miss him. And we send our regards and deepest condolences to his family.
Thank you. Pro Tem Carrington.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. I'd just like again to offer my condolences to the family of Jason. Again, my condolences to the Wilson family. He was also a member of We Care Neighborhood Association, which is an association that was started back in 1914 by mostly the Knoll subdivision, but residents throughout of the 6th District. So again, I think, Mr. Wilson, I know that the decision of Mark Twain was a tough decision. He did work and fight against that particular project. So I just want to thank him, just for his work in the community and like the past mayor said, for his steadfast commitment to trying to make sure the neighborhoods continue to be safe. Again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? With that, roll call, Clerk Doyle.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
If you'd like to, certainly. With that, the resolution honoring the life and service of Paul Wilson is unanimously adopted, and we give the floor as a point of personal privilege to the younger Mr. Wilson.
Hello, it's an honor to be here in front of you all. I speak on behalf of my father.
We're going to turn it on for you.
Okay. So first, thank you to all the council members. It's an honor to be here representing my father. I'm his son, Jason Wilson. And my father, you all know him well. It's nice to see some familiar faces here as we worked on other community projects as well. On behalf of my father, I'm just going to read his words because I don't think I need to speak for him. On this day, as I reflect on my past, I am thankful for my freshman year at Florida A&M University in 1963 and our student march on downtown Tallahassee, Florida, and my family values from the past as well. If a person doesn't stand for something, they will fall for anything. On this day, if you get the opportunity, and I ask each of you, and the time, listen to MLK's I've Been to the Mountaintop in full. I'm grateful for my ride in the paddy wagon that year and our stay at the fairgrounds locked in the animal stalls. I too can say I am not worried about anything today because I believe that God has blessed me with a family that knows the meaning of brotherhood and sisterhood and what it means to seek and fight for justice for all. In time, teach your children and your children's children the meaning of MLK Day and the true meaning of family. Thank you. It's a blessing to stand before you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We are now at the previous number 16. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize the approval of the mayor or mayor designee to execute the City of Pontiac's contractor agreement to hire a procurement professional provided by the Procurement Consulting Group, LLC, often shorthand at the acronym of PCG? Is there such a motion?
A motion?
And is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman James, seconded by Councilman Parker. The motion is now before us. We give the floor to Deputy Mayor for rationale. And again, the reason why we amended the agenda to take this first is that they have somebody electronically or remotely participating, and we want to make sure we got them in and out before we had a connection or signal issue, and we keep it moving. Deputy Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. We do have our purchasing manager here who I will call to the microphone. And as you said, we do also have someone who is participating remotely should you have specific questions for them. The shorthand is that this is a resolution to bring on an outside consulting firm to assist the purchasing department with the overhaul that they have been going through, trying to update all of their policies and procedures and get things straight. Not only will they help from an administrative standpoint, the group will also help them clear some of their backlog so that once all of these new policies and procedures are put into place, we're not starting behind the 8 ball, but we are caught up with all of our work to date. And with that, before that, I will say that the idea here is that we have 3 items in total from the purchasing department. We have this item, we have the OpenGov item, and we have a request to post a budget amendment. Our thought was that the budget amendment would go first, but unfortunately, we do have the individual who is here. But the budget amendment will go first, and assuming that the city council was favorable about the budget amendment, the city council would then hear these 2 action items and most likely would postpone actually acting on the action items until the budget amendment itself was approved, because you don't want to approve spending money until you actually have the money in the budget. But with that, I will turn it over to the purchasing manager.
Yes, good evening, City Council, our Deputy Mayor, residents of the City of Pontiac. I do have in person with me today Bridget Greer, who is a member of the Procurement Consulting Group, and so she's here to address any questions that you may have in particular regarding PCG. And Bridget, would you mind just coming up? And so I always talk about assessing spend on an annual basis for the City of Pontiac. And as we're looking at spend, we're looking in particular for spend amounts that are $10,000 or more. And so that's a flag to us because those are items that should go before council for approval prior to actually beginning to spend in those different areas. And so as we were evaluating total spend for the fiscal year, we developed a list of goods and services that we're going to need to go out to bid for. And that will require some assistance. A lot of these will need to be done prior to summer starting. And so like our maintenance, repair, and operating, we want to get that solicitation out and get firms pre-qualified so that when we need electrical or HVAC or some other work done, that we'll have a pool of contractors to pull from. We won't necessarily have to keep going out to bid for it. We'll already have a list of pre-qualified contractors that we can let them know, hey, this opportunity is available, and then they would receive an invitation to bid. And so with that list, this is where the PCG will be coming in to assist with that. Bridget will. And then the mayor already spoke to the assessment. The assessment will identify deficiencies that are present in procurement and make recommendations. That's something that I will be sharing with our finance and personnel subcommittee, also to council as a whole if they desire. And then we'll take that assessment and begin making improvements based on recommendations.
Okay, any questions for the presenters? Pro Tem Carrington.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. At this time, do you know exactly what procurements you're putting out there for bids right now, or are you just doing this in advance just to have the funds available?
So right now, we do have a number of solicitations that I am aware of. One major one that we're working on now that we're finalizing edits for is our waste management. That's a major solicitation document. It took a lot of work and effort to get it to the point it is now. We'll be posting that very soon. That contract will be ending in June of 2024. So that's something that we have to work on getting addressed as efficiently as possible. But to answer your question, when I mentioned the spend analysis that we did, that's identifying who we're spending money with and how much. So that's where we're preparing that list from.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Further discussion? Councilwoman James.
I'd just like to say that I strongly support the help that you are requesting, and I am glad to see you take the initiative, because when you look at the number of contracts that are hitting you and all of the things that are currently being worked on at the city, I'm glad to see us take a proactive approach and really, bring in the consultants and the help that we need to be able to do this smoothly. So I'm glad to see us taking this move.
Further discussion? All right. Hearing no further discussion, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call, Clerk Doyle on the adoption of the resolution to authorize the approval of the mayor or mayor's designee. Oh, Deputy Mayor Stevens?
I would recommend that council postpone this. And if council wants to go for it, we can. But like I said, there is a budget amendment that you're going to want to do before you actually approve this.
Is that required?
No.
Okay. Is council interested in having the budget amendment fall or cascade in the order prior to the resolution authorization?
Actually, it doesn't matter each way to me.
It doesn't become,
No.
All right, if they're hearing no motion to postpone, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for flagging that as an option. If I'm hearing no motion to postpone, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call and adoption of the resolution to authorize the approval of the mayor or mayor's designee to execute the City of Pontiac's contractor agreement to hire a procurement professional provided by the Procurement Consulting Group, LLC. Clerk Doyle.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Purchasing Manager Martin, is there another item of business on the agenda where there was somebody participating remotely that we wanted to? Okay. So without objection, could I please have a motion to suspend the rules for us to change the order of the agenda and
Moved by
take up
Carrington.
now what was item number 15? Moved by Carrington, seconded by Goodman, that we suspend the rules to change the order of the agenda. Hearing no further discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle on the motion to suspend the rules.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
That motion carries, so now we are at number 15. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize the approval of the mayor or deputy mayor to execute the statement of work dated December 29th, 2023, number PS-04754, to procure the OpenGov cloud-based purchasing software?
Question, President. Does this also include item number 10?
Yes, that's just another leg of the stool.
Okay.
But yes, they are related. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Moved by Carrington.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay. Moved by Pro Tem Carrington, second by Councilman Parker. That item is now before us. Deputy Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Again, we have the purchasing manager here, and this is to purchase software that is desperately needed in order to add efficiencies to the purchasing department. This will go along with the group that we just talked about, and I will turn the floor over to the purchasing manager and also the group that is on the line. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Microphone.
Okay. So the OpenGov is a purchasing cloud-based solution that we're looking to implement within the city of Pontiac. Right now, we're using BidNet to post all of our solicitation documents as it is required by ordinance. And looking at the existing process, there's a lot of inefficiencies, and I can just give you an example of one. So right now, when I prepare a solicitation document, I have to write it out, I have to save it as PDF, and then I upload it to BidNet. I then have to contact our IT department and ask them to upload that same document to the city's purchasing webpage. That could be, I can finish that document at 5 or 6 p.m. that evening. IT is not going to get to it till the next business day when they're in the office. With this OpenGov solution, as I'm posting my solicitation document, there is an embedding that will occur in the city's webpage that as I'm posting the solicitation document for the city of Pontiac's, to OpenGov, it will be also mirrored into the city's purchasing webpage. That's eliminating the need for me contacting IT and asking them to upload those documents, making sure the documents are the same as what I gave to IT. It's just taking out that legwork, and that's making that process in itself more efficient. Some of the other areas that we're looking to use the OpenGov solution is for vendor onboarding to make that system automated. Right now, individuals must complete an IRS W-9 form, then they must email that form to our accounts payable. Our accounts payable takes a look at that form, they process it, and then they create a vendor or supplier record in our financial solution, which is called BS&A. Automating the vendor onboarding process, they'll be able to just go into OpenGov to register. And this is where we can capture some of that important data that we've been talking about, like business enterprise, minority-owned, woman-owned, capture that kind of data, making sure their bonding capacity, is there if this is a construction project. So there's a lot of information we'll be able to gather on the front end to pre-qualify vendors using this solution. Outside of vendor onboarding, we're also, I mentioned the solicitation management, but we're also bringing on a contract management component. Because after every solicitation, once council passes resolution, we do execute a contract. And so this will be ease of transitioning all that information from solicitation to contract. There will be templates that will be set up to bring that information over, so that'll make that process more timely. It won't be such a manual process of what we're doing right now because the information is already in OpenGov. So we'll be able to get those approvals that we need. We have certain levels of approval from purchasing, finance, administration, so forth. And then once that's done, we'll also be able to have an evaluation process, which is a component that's missing right now. So as vendors are performing, there's no solution to track how well they're doing, if there are any issues. Most times when I hear about an issue, it's when it's really bad. And at that point, we don't have documentation, anything in writing. It's hard to address or correct something at that point because I have nothing to go on other than hearsay. And so what this solution will do is provide us with those paper trails. As vendors are performing on the job, a department head can go in there and say, you know, I had this issue with this vendor. I spoke with them on this date. This is the resolution. So at any time, if we're FOIA'd or even just addressing an issue from an administration's perspective or even for city council's perspective, this is information that we can run in a report and provide that we're not able to really do at this time. And then the last one would be evaluation criteria. So as we're looking at bid responses, we receive proposals and we establish a criteria that we have to score on, which typically provides transparency to the public and that we're sharing with them how we're scoring everyone's proposal and evaluation. How did we come up with an award decision? So this will be automated as well. There will be tabulation in the system that we'll be able to run reports on and share that information with council and administration as well. So there's just a lot of efficiencies in terms of automation that's going to come with this solution.
Thank you. Discussion? Councilwoman James, followed by Councilman Parker.
My first question is this a solution, a software that they are going to create for specific to Pontiac and our needs, or is this a canned software that is, you know, it's going to be supported by a group of people?
So I would say it's created to our needs. It is a solution that the basic outlook of it is covering all industries. Mostly government is their primary target, but the templates that we're creating are our templates. The solicitation I keep getting tongue-tied, but the solicitation document templates that we'll be using are City of Pontiac's. The contracts that we're using will be City of Pontiac contracts that I'm working with legal now. She's given me one template to use. We'll be working on some others. So everything that we're using in the solution is created by purchasing personnel with legal.
I can add to that a little bit, Alicia. I think that was a great answer. We are an off-the-shelf product in that the framework of the system is built, and also I'll add to that, constantly updated. So we do release 4 quarterly feature updates throughout the year. So you're going to see enhancements to the product coming over time. That's built from user feedback. We are government only focused, so that's in our name, OpenGov, and that is the only industry that we're building software for. So these platforms are designed to tackle government procurement processes, but to Alicia's point, the components of what you're using in the system, your terms, your conditions, your contracts, that is data that we will bring into the system and help to populate through the implementation process. And we'll give Alicia and team training along the way. So we want this to be a very hands-on system that the city can truly own. If Alicia needs to go in and build a new template or build a new contract document, she knows exactly how to do that and has the training and capability to do so. But OpenGov is always there on the back end to provide support and assistance where needed.
Thank you. Follow-up question, Councilwoman James?
Yeah, my second part of the question is this software going to be compatible with BSNA?
So in terms of the vendor information, we're having to do a matching, making sure first name, if it's 15 characters, first name is 15 characters, first name on the OpenGov side. If it's, you know, last name, 15 characters. So you have to make sure that the field data is matching for import. So the vendor information will be imported into BSNA. It's an upload.
And we know that it is compatible, that we are going to be able to automatically.
So you're dumping data from OpenGov into Excel, and the data in the Excel worksheet will be imported into BSNA.
And do we know that that is possible?
Yes, it's been possible. We can do another verification check again just to provide evidence to this point so that council can make sure it's working.
Yeah, because, you know, with all due respect, Deputy Mayor, we definitely don't want any more nightmare situations. So I just want to be very sure that this software will be compatible with BSNA.
So go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Well, because we do have the representative online, we can ask, are there other governments that have used this software with BSNA? And if so, was your implementation smooth?
Yeah, and I can absolutely answer that. And to Alicia's point, this is the area where we would be feeding information out of OpenGov and into BSNA is a very small component of what's covered here. Really, the system is designed to cover a vast majority of those processes from end to end internally. When you're looking at capturing that, pulling that vendor information and bringing that over into the BSNA platform, that would be a manual export and upload into BSNA, but that data, to Alicia's point, can be exported out of the system.
And all the other components are not part of BSNA, so contract management is not part of BSNA. That's not an ability that they have. They do have a minor ability with contracts, but not on the level of OpenGov. And I did check into BSNA to see if it would fit our needs, and it just doesn't. Before
So
I
we'll
even consider
for a full
OpenGov.
solicitation, we'll handle end to end from the intake process. We want to begin this project and look to procure something, building the solicitation, putting that out to a vendor audience, undertaking the evaluations that the city needs to undertake, whether that's a scoring methodology, a low bid, lump sum, or line item methodology in the platform, the awarding of the contract, and the management of contract documents, all within the system. Any vendor information that needs to be put into the BSNA system for requisitions can be pulled out to do so. We can also then do a reverse process where any POs that are issued out of BSNA today for requisition, those can be exported as a flat file out of BSNA, uploaded to OpenGov, and you can track your PO spend tracking within the system as well against the contract. So disparate systems where they don't really need to have a direct integration, but data can be pulled and moved between them where necessary, if that helps answer the question.
Councilman James?
Yeah,
Councilman Parker?
Thank you, Brother President. Can you tell me what is it, I know I'm pretty sure we checked references, and which municipality have used this system and how it worked, and what have they given any?
Yes, so the municipalities that we reached out to was the city of Bloomfield and the city of Rochester Hill. We sent emails to both. Rochester Hills did not reply, but the city, and that's not uncommon when you do reference checks, but the city of Bloomfield Hill did respond, and their feedback was favorable. They were speaking about implementation and training. That was going very smoothly. Also, we reached out to Lextran, which is a major company that is working with OpenGov as well. They mentioned that their implementation is going well as well as the other Bloomfield Hills. They're continually providing updates to their systems. You have to stay on top of that, but they said that the changes are usually intuitive and allow for a streamlined process. And OpenGov holds a weekly customer check-in call with all of their users where OpenGov staff will show everyone what they have been working on and what updates are coming out. They're pretty good about asking us what changes we would like to see, and actually following through with them if enough people ask about them. So this was just some of the feedback that we got from Lextran when we checked the references.
Okay. My next question is, you talked about that your office will be designing the templates for this, and so my question is, once you design the template, should we, at some point in the future, decide not to use OpenGov, will we own the templates?
Yes, there are City of Pontiac templates.
Will we own portions of the software?
We don't own portions of the software, but the data that OpenGov would have, we will have access to get that information.
And then my last
Your data is yours to export at any time.
And then my last question is, what percentage of minorities do they have working for this company?
Chris, I'll leave that question to you. Did you hear the question?
What percentage of minorities are working for our company?
Yeah.
I don't have that direct answer, as I'm not in HR, but we have made a massive push in minority hires over the past. I've been with the company just over 2 years, and in that time frame, I've seen a very, very large push in minority hiring
Councilwoman James?
My question is similar, and that is, I know BidNet, we currently use BidNet, and we had talked about, the number of minority businesses that were using BidNet. Do you have any idea, does this supplier have any idea of the number of minority businesses that are actually using OpenGov?
So you're asking about municipalities that are diverse because they're serving a lot of municipalities, so.
Right.
Do you have any idea about the diversity of the municipalities?
Not
The
the
diversity of
municipalities, the
vendors?
businesses that are utilizing their
Their solution?
software,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an exact number, but what I can tell you is we have about 200,000 vendors in the platform today, and where we do differ from BidNet in supporting MWBE and DBE businesses is that we are 100% free for vendors to join. I personally have a BidNet account. I like to monitor what's going out in the government world. Worked with a lot of communities across Michigan, so I want to see what's coming out, what they're looking to procure. BidNet will religiously send me emails asking me to procure a premium notification package, which is about $500 on an annual basis. BidNet is just one of several platforms that I have memberships to who ask the same. So with OpenGov, again, we are 100% free for those vendors to join. We will never ask them for a cent for premium notifications or any enhancements to the system. We want to make sure that we're creating a truly equitable process for those vendors. And so what we see is a higher audience engagement from MWBE and DBE vendors. In addition to that, the processes that you undertake in BidNet today require vendors to download documents, try to align across PDF templates, Word documents, Excel documents, their input and their feedback to the city's solicitation. My mother runs a women-owned business in Nashville, Tennessee. In my off hours, I'm sometimes helping her to fill out RFPs because it's just an extremely cumbersome process for a small business. They don't have teams in place who can spend the time filling out these documents, and so they oftentimes have to bypass responding. Within OpenGov, the city is able to create the full questionnaire that the vendor needs to respond to right online. So the vendor can come in and fill out essentially the form right in their web browser. They don't need to make sure they have a good PDF viewer. They don't need to try to, again, align across different templates and forms and capture all that information or print off information, responses and bring them into the city. We see that quite a bit. So what it really allows is for vendors to respond faster and engage with the city more often, and it costs them less time overall, so they have less time to account for, especially for MWE and DBE businesses. They don't have that time. So we've seen really, really high engagement numbers from our MWE and DBE partners comparatively to some of those other systems from our customers that have made the switch.
And that is an important point right now for our suppliers, our vendors that are participating in our bid process. In order for them to get notifications when documents are being posted, they do have to pay for that. They don't have to pay to access the solution, but they do have to pay to get those notifications. With OpenGov, they won't have to pay for that. Once they register, they'll get those notifications, and they'll be able to get those documents that they need.
And as part of our implementation, we'll assist the city in alerting and reaching out to your existing vendor audience to make sure that we're inviting them to join the platform. And for them to do so, it's name, email address, password. So very low barrier of entry for those MWE and DBE businesses to be able to create that account, follow the city, and immediately see your bids coming out that they can respond to.
Further discussion? Councilman James.
Would they access the software from the Pontiac website or?
Yes. So the one difference between BidNet and OpenGov is that OpenGov will embed its solicitation tables into our webpage. So the same documents that they see in OpenGov, they'll see those documents the same documents they see on our purchasing webpage, they'll see those same documents. Am I saying that right? I'm getting a little tired, so forgive me. The documents that they see in OpenGov are the same documents they'll see in the purchasing webpage. So it mirrors what is in OpenGov.
Okay, so They would still come to your webpage to apply or to sign up to be a vendor,
Right.
be a supplier. Okay.
But
Or they could come to the city's website, the embedded portal in the city, and if I share my screen, would you be able to see that? Let me share this here quickly. If that's coming through, my apologies. So this, for example, is the city of Pittsburgh's website. And so what you're seeing here embedded in the website is their vendor portal. So this is right within the Pittsburgh, PA government website. If a vendor clicks into a bid or a solicitation, it will link them out to procurement.opengov.com, but the look and feel is exactly the same as what they're seeing right in the city. So to Alicia's point, when Alicia releases a solicitation, it's going to be the exact same within the OpenGov portal if they're navigating from OpenGov or if they're navigating from the city's website itself. And when a vendor comes in, they'll have very easy availability to log in or sign up.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on adoption of the resolution.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. We return now to number 9. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to appoint Patrick Mueller as the official representative to the NOHAS Advisory Board to work with Oakland County and Local Business Development Division as needed to plan the NOHAS program for 2024?
Moved by Carrington.
Support.
It's been moved by Pro Tem Carrington and seconded by Councilman Parker. It is now before us. Deputy Mayor Stevens, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. So again, we have the NOHAS program in front of us. We spoke about this last year. This is something that will come before us routinely. It is for the city to join Oakland County's NOHAS program, which allows our residents to participate in the drop-offs that they have from time to time for batteries and paint and other hazardous materials. This would allow us to pay the fee to join that so that our residents don't have to pay themselves. And then additionally, it marks Patrick as our representative to NOHAS. I will turn the floor over to him if there's anything else that needs to be added.
No, that essentially sums it up. It's a means to prevent improper disposal of hazardous household waste. There's 4 collection events that we'll schedule throughout the year for residents to drop their hazardous waste off, again, at no cost to the residents.
Thank you. Councilman Parker.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brother President. Real quick, is there, I know we did this last year, but has there been a price increase for doing this over to the course of this year? And if so, how much?
No, the price actually decreased from last year.
Okay. Do you know how much?
I do not offhand.
Okay.
I can get that information for you, though. I have it at the desk.
So it shows that $18,000 is for the 2024 calendar. That's Pontiac's contribution. And we'll look into what variation that is from past years, but.
Yeah, that would be the maximum, and that amount is based off of other communities' costs and our previous costs in years past, and the amount of residents that have participated in the program. But that 18,000 is an amount provided by Oakland County, and basically anticipate our cost being less than that. That's an up to $18,000.
Okay. We do request that if you can provide with council leadership when the dates are set, so that way we can make sure we are amplifying that information out for residents.
Yeah, absolutely.
In
And I apologize.
No, that's.
Yeah, and as the representative, that's part of that, is coordinating with administration, council, and the community when the best times to do that would be. So there'd be a coordinated and established set of dates.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilwoman James.
I just wanted to point out, looking at the sheet that you gave us, it looks like the participation for Pontiac, it's a great program. A great way to get rid of things that, we don't know how to get rid of, like old paint, batteries, old phones and everything. But the Pontiac participation, according to this chart, is 3%, which is not very high. So hopefully, now that we have an outstanding communication department, the 2024 program, we can really maybe do a better job of really publicizing and getting out the word about it so that people really know, because you never get out of your car. You go out there on those days and they have stations set up depending on what you have that in the car that you want to throw away. You never get out of the car. You just drive station to station and they take the stuff out of your car. So it's a great program, and hopefully we can start doing a better job of educating Pontiac residents to this benefit. This is a benefit of being a citizen, that the city is paying for you to be able to dispose of your waste, and they make it as easy for you as they possibly can. So if you can drive, you can get rid of your waste products. So hopefully I'd like to see a better, or to see a coordination with communications so that we can get the word out more, so that we have more and better participation from Pontiac in 2024.
Yes, absolutely. We have a great PR department, and the county offers a lot of education resources that we can promote and pass out to community to spread the word and hopefully get better involvement in the community.
Better results, yeah.
Further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on adoption of the resolution.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. That resolution is adopted. We're now at number 10. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the city clerk to publish notice of the proposed budget amendment?
Moved by Carrington.
Second.
Moved by Pro Tem Carrington, seconded by Councilwoman James. This is now before us. It increases by $89,285 the budget appropriations in the general ledger account 101-233-818.000, professional services for the purchasing division, OpenGov software, as well as the purchasing consultant. So this is the budget amendment that accompanies those two actions that we took in this evening's meeting. This would post the notice. It'll be back before us in 2 weeks' time. So again, is there any discussion about posting the notice and for the budget amendment to be back before us in 2 weeks' time? And we give the floor to the Deputy Mayor for initial information.
Thank you, Council President. You heard the presentations already, so I will turn it back over to the council.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle on adoption of the resolution. Again, this authorizes the clerk and his team to post it and publish it. It'll be back before us at 2 city council meetings from now.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and the clerk is authorized to publish notice of the proposed budget amendment. Again, that'll be before City Council for consideration in 2 weeks. We're now at number 11. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the execution of the grant agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Parker, seconded by Pro Tem Carrington. This resolution approves the execution of a grant agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, for an award in the amount of $5 million to support a downtown initiative to pay down debt related to the Phoenix Center in the city of Pontiac. If you remember, the state of Michigan was able to the city of Pontiac was able to successfully be awarded $5 million to eliminate past debt that taxpayers of Pontiac were on the hook for related to past Phoenix Center deals and transactions. So with this action, it moves us along to being able to eliminate that debt and therefore eliminate that burden off of the backs of the taxpayers of Pontiac. This is in tandem with, but separate from, the $50 million that Oakland County is receiving from the state of Michigan for their downtown Pontiac initiatives, including the purchasing of the buildings and demolition of parking structures and construction of parking structures. And you'll notice that the next resolution is related to this same action as well. So, on the current resolution before us, Deputy Mayor Stevens, further information for council.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the council for allowing this item to be added to the agenda. We know we got it to you a little bit later than we normally would have. However, we were working with the MEDC to amend the original agreement that they had sent to us. For those of you who don't know, the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, their main function is to work in economic development. So they work generally when they give out grants and awards, they're giving them out to businesses, and their standard grant agreement is we will give you half of the money now, and we will give you half of the money once you actually complete the project as noted. We had to work with them to change their standard agreement so that we could get all of the money so that we could actually do the project. This is a project that was not able to be done in two pieces. And so I really just want to take this opportunity to give a huge shout out to the MEDC for being responsive and working with us, but an even greater shout out to the city's legal director and the city's grants director for being on top of this, catching it as soon as it came in, and being on the phone with MEDC nonstop until they were able to actually get this updated so that we can get it to you. And the reason why time is of the essence is that if we can get all of this done in a timely manner, the city will be able to avoid additional interest on that loan that we will be paying off. And we will be able to avoid going through the process of procuring another letter of credit, which is part of the requirement of our loan. So again, thank you to our legal director, thank you to our grants director, and hopefully this will be passed tonight. Thank you.
Further discussion before us. Councilman James.
I just want to clarify that with this $5 million, that totally pays off the debt, right?
That is correct.
Okay, if we get this done before additional charges are added, this will completely close out the Phoenix Center debt.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's right. So in February of 2021, the city had executed a promissory note to an entity promising to pay the principal sum of $5,600,000. This loan was acquired by the city as part of the purchase of the Phoenix Center parking garage. The city has been making payments on this loan as indicated in the loan amortization schedule. So a few $100,000 has already been directly paid out of the taxpayers' coffers. This prevents that from, on a monthly basis of up to $80,000 a month, from being able to further incurred. So we have said this multiple times, but I want to say it again. Thank you and bless you to State Senator Moss, State Representative Carter, Speaker of the House Joe Tate, and we delivered this message yesterday when he was in Pontiac for Martin Luther King Day, and then ultimately Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who with her signature on the budget made this possible. And that's why it's coming before us today. The state budget, new session started in the late fall, and then they worked their way through the process. We cannot thank the Grants and Philanthropy Department enough. We cannot thank, I'm glad to hear that the law director, new to the team as well, their thorough review of contracts is also proving to be an asset. So thank you so much to everyone that's involved. As you're hearing, being swift and shrewd about it is protecting us even more, so that way we're not on the hook for another month or another $22,000 of interest or another promissory note just to make our way to the next phase or cycle. So what a godsend to be able to extract ourselves from this financial burden. Very big deal.
There is one other item that the grants director did remind me to point out to you. Normally, we would have two different items. You would have receiving of the grant, and then you would also have a separate thing once we receive the grant to execute the grant. because time is of the essence, all of that is included in the therefore now be it resolved. So I just wanted to point out clearly that once we agree to receive the grant, we also are in the now for there in the therefore be it resolved stating and to take any action required to execute the deliverables of the grant-funded project, which means that you are actually authorizing us to make that payment once we receive this money.
Right. Thank you. Further discussion on the motion before us? Hearing no further discussion, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on the resolution to approve the execution of a grant agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation for an award in the amount of $5 million to support a downtown initiative to pay down debt related to the Phoenix Center in the city of Pontiac.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and thank you again, Madam Director, and your team. Number 12, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize the city clerk to publish notice of the proposed budget amendment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Councilman Parker, second by Councilwoman James. This proposed budget amendment for the fiscal year increases budget revenues in the amount of $5 million to account 101000558.000, state grants MEDC, and appropriations in the amount of $5 million in the account of 101-925-992.084, debt service, Ottawa Phoenix Center. Again, as with before, this authorizes the posting about the notice of the budget amendment. It'll be back before us in 2 meetings' time. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on adoption of the resolution authorizing the clerk to publish notice of the proposed budget amendment.
Parker,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. The clerk will publish notice, and that'll be back before us in 2 weeks' time. Number 13, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the sheriff's substation facility interview room modifications?
Moved by Carrington.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Pro Tem Carrington, second by Councilwoman James. This item is now before us. Deputy Mayor Stevens, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. So the next 2 items both relate to the sheriff's substation. This first item is to increase the efficiency of the interview rooms. If you have additional questions after I get done, we do have the lieutenant here to answer any specific items, but the broad gist is that the law changed and required additional cameras and additional coverage in any interview room. Our interview room does not comply with the current law, so in order to make sure that any interviews or interrogations that happen are able to be admissible in court, we are not able to use our current rooms. We either have to go to Oakland County or to one of the other sheriff substations that have already been updated, which means that we are paying the officers to take an individual, transport them away, and then bring them back. This will allow us greater efficiency to just handle business at our own substation. And so that is what is, and this is also a sole source item, so there is already the company that does this for the sheriff substations, and that is the item in front of you.
Thank you. Yes, and for the community's benefit, the documentation shows it's under $36,000. And this has come before the Public Safety, Health and Wellness Subcommittee has been reviewing the matter. Any further discussion on the motion before us? So for everyone's frame of reference, when we're saying the Pontiac substation, we're referring to what traditionally is known as the city's police department, the facility that is just to the north of where we sit now at Pontiac City Hall. That building is even older than this building, if I recall correctly. I think in the mid-1950s or so. But it's, so that is where the facility is. Us taxpayers of Pontiac own that facility. So it's utilized by the Sheriff's Department presently, previously owned previously used by the city's police department, but it's still the property of us taxpayers of Pontiac. So with the current and future public safety uses, this is property of you and I, the taxpayers of Pontiac, in our facility. And the law has changed in terms of what's required for admissible and permissible interview rooms. Any further discussion or anything that the Oakland County Sheriff's Department feels that should also be considered as we're making this decision? No pressure if nothing else is up, but. And if you want to hit the microphone,
Only if
just
you
want
have
to
any
let.
questions, Council and Deputy Mayor.
Do you want to share with us the limitations or the usefulness of the interview room as it stands right now?
So, as we've made aware, Public Act 479 was passed in 2012. All of our substations have been in compliance with the Public Act since 2012. Pontiac has not. We've been working to get that upgraded. And as you can imagine, we have the ACLU and civil rights violations that go along with the Public Act, so we need to comply to ensure a fair and balanced system. So in order to conduct interviews as of this time, a high priority case, as the Deputy Mayor indicated, we're transporting arrestees to Rochester Hills or down to the main sheriff's office for interview process. And you can imagine being a family member of someone that's being interviewed, and that process sometimes can take quite longer than it should. And in order to be fair, we're asking for this budget amendment to ensure that we've complied with the Public Act.
Thank you. Further discussion before us? And thank you to the Public Safety Subcommittee for doing a lot of research and review on the matter. Hearing no further discussion? Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on adoption of the resolution to approve the Sheriff's Substation Facility interview room modifications.
Harrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Motion carries. Resolution is adopted. Number 14, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the Sheriff's Substation Facility window modifications?
Moved by Carrington.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Pro Tem Carrington, seconded by Councilman Parker. Again, this is the same facility in question, and now we're talking about windows, specifically the tinting of windows. I believe the price is looking at about $15,000 to do 70 plus windows, 76 windows, $14,037. So with this resolution, if it's adopted, it's authorizing the approval of window tint services to the second floor of the Pontiac Police Substation with a cost not to exceed $15,000. And part of the reason why this has been identified as necessary is that the second floor windows, this is more cost effective than replacing the window blinds, in part because we've got window air conditioning units. So when you're working with window ACs, blinds versus tinting, this is making it more efficient in terms of security, identity protection, and then also heating, temperature regulation. Deputy Mayor Stevenson, anything further you'd like to share?
You said it all.
Okay. Sir, from the Sheriff's Department, is there anything else that we should be considering on the window tinting?
Nick pretty much covered everything.
Okay. Thank you again to the Public Safety Subcommittee for delving into this and bringing this to the full City Council. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, speakers list is exhausted. Roll call, Clerk Doyle, on the resolution to approve the window treatments at the Pontiac substation.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Thank you for your time. We are now at public comment, an opportunity for citizens to speak on items of concern to them for 3 minutes. I'll provide a 15-second warning as we get towards the end. I'll stop the clock to do that, so that way you don't have to feel surprised or caught off guard when we say your time is up.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. Dr. Deirdre Waterman. Please, order in the chamber. Thank you.
On the agenda this evening, you did approve receiving the MEDC grant for the $5 million that will pay the debt on the Phoenix Center, so that as part of the arrangement, the development agreement you have with the Oakland County for that whole Our Towers Phoenix Center. I must just remind you, though, that this $5 million, although we will receive it to help our budget, but it doesn't make the city whole. The city, on the agreement that we made with the developer, put down additional $7 million, so the city is still in the hole for that. So I don't know where you can find that, but I just want you to remember that this developer, who was then given the sweetheart deal of $19 million, still caused us to be $7 million in the hole, even with the $5 million from the MEDC. But once you sign this agreement to get the $5 million to pay the debt, there's certain things that get kicked into place. And I just want to remind you that it's been a while since you signed that MOU back in July. And as of the time that this debt is paid, then 180 days later, months, 180 days, we will set together a development plan that you agreed to with Oakland County. And I just want to remind you that the city still has the prerogative of reusing that amphitheater. The amphitheater is a 2,800-seat amphitheater the city paid $21 million for, that Oakland County agreed that they won't demolish it if the city can do something with it. And I hope we do something with it, and I hope we start with the plan to do that. I'm sorry, Councilman Nicholson is not here because he argued me down that we don't do anything with it. And I said, yes, we do. In fact, I confirmed that with our county executive, who said, sure, I remember that it's in good shape. A lot of cities would like to have something like that, so we don't want that to be stolen from us just because we're not prepared to handle it. Where would the money come from? Well, number one, when we had the windstorm that blew down the tent awning, the insurance company paid off. So we haven't collected on that yet. That can be used to reassemble and to replace that Phoenix Center amphitheater somewhere else. We also have the $1 million that Senator Peters guaranteed to us when I was mayor. We asked for a grant. He said, I'll give you $1 million for the amphitheater. So that's money. Now, that was perfectly good condition, the amphitheater. One of the reasons I had my State of the City there, which the county executive did, I know, it's 15 seconds, which the county executive did attend. And he said, yes, the amphitheater is great and maintained in great shape. So it's not an asset that the city should throw away, but you do have to plan for it. Where we put it might be another thing, but it can't be disassembled. The engineers say we can do that.
That does conclude your time.
Thank you, Dr. Waterman. Ms. Beatrice Wright.
Good evening, council, again. Thank you very much. Clerk Doyle, Deputy Mayor, citizens of Pontiac. First of all, I would like to say, go Lions. See, I went and got me a Lions shirt because I am an avid fan of most sports, but especially football. I came here to do some announcements today. First of all, at the Golden Opportunity Club at the Bowen Center, we have a wonderful opportunity that occurs often. We are a satellite site for the Secretary of State. And so for seniors who need to renew their license, get license tabs, to transfer titles, they can do all that at the Bowen Center. And on January 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Secretary of State will be at the Bowen Center, and the public is welcome as well. But since it is at the Bowen Center and the home of the Golden Opportunity Club, we take advantage of that. If you want more information, you can contact Deborah Finley. Her telephone number is 248-758-3238. I also wanted to announce some of the activities that will be occurring at Oakland University. We stand in a wonderful site here because I attended and graduated from Oakland University. Oakland University has a wonderful speaker series, and they also recognize Martin Luther King's birthday, Black History Month, and annually, they have something called the Taste of Africa. If you want to taste some wonderful African food, you got to go to Oakland University on February 9th. But before that, there is, just to give you an example, there's an Association of Black Students Great Debate. There is Diversity in Medicine with a African-American medical student panel. There is a winter career fair, but all of this is at Oakland University. My heart is heavy today, and I know we did pay respect to Paul Wilson. I want to pay respect to a friend of mine who passed away 5 days ago. Those of you who are golfers recognize this, because Carl Rose owned Carl's Golf Land. Carl's Golf Land gave things to Pontiac, everybody who ever golfed in a outing. You always got this bag full of goodies. Carl was my friend, and he died last Thursday. His dad started Carl's Golf Land right here in Pontiac, Michigan, and they later moved to Bloomfield Township and Plymouth. So I just want to give respect to Carl Rose and his family, and for all the things he's done for Pontiac, and for me personally.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Mr. Carlton Jones.
Okay, get your pencil and paper out because it's time for a career camp. We're reaching out to the high schoolers, the 11th and 12th graders. 313-585-9950. Contact me this week. We've got about 4 seats still open for the camp that's coming up next week. This is for high schoolers. We talk about being proactive. We're trying to make sure those who got interest in paving, street paving, carpet making, or cabinet making, carpentry, those ones who have interest in construction, contact me as soon as you can. We can possibly get you into this next camp that's coming up next week. This is TDC, and I guess I want you to know, State Representative Carter did the seed funding from the state. She realizes that we got to be proactive. We have to be really proactive in developing our talent here. And to keep our talent. If we wait to all this construction and things and we don't have our talent developed, we will miss out. So I want you to know we are aggressively trying to be proactive, and that's what talent development is all about. It's not just finding a job for right now, it's developing the talent for the future. And if we can get the support of those who are interested in being proactive, that's what TDC is all about. I also want to say, those know we kicked off yesterday home ownership. Home ownership, workforce development is all a part of economic development for the city of Pontiac. We've got a new program, and I'm one of the ambassadors for Love Thy Neighbor and how you can convert those who desire to move from renting to home ownership. We've got a program now, Love Thy Neighbor, and it's especially for those people in Pontiac who desire to want to own their own home. So reach out to me. I'll help direct you in that direction. It's a great thing that we're doing this in Pontiac. But all this is about economic development for helping lifting us up that we can become more income driven for individuals who live here in Pontiac. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Pastor, Kathy Desiree.
I, too, wanted to recognize Carl's Golf Land. I remember when it was built, and back in the day when I could play, spent a lot of off-work hours there. They always made you feel like you were family when you came in on a regular basis, and we will miss him as part of the community. I had an adventure yesterday that more people in the city need to take. And I've been taking it now for several years, and it never did to me what it did yesterday. We went to the Martin Luther King luncheon at the Marriott yesterday. It's always a very nice event, and there's lots of the right people there, and the politicians get to do their thing. I sat and had lunch with Carlton, and it was a lovely adventure. We were of different faiths. We were of different political persuasions. We were of different colors. We were of different backgrounds educationally. We were different people. And we stood at the end, as we do every year, but for some reason it really impressed me this year. We sang, "We Shall Overcome," holding hands. We've done that every year. But yesterday, it spoke to me as a person. If we can do it in that building, why can't we do it here, or outside in the parking lot, or down on Main Street? Why does it change when you walk out of an environment where it's acceptable? It should be acceptable everywhere. And the more that I thought about it last night, the more it bothered me, because it was beautiful. Nobody was looking at the hand they were holding to see what color it was, or, oh my gosh, did they believe what I believe? Or, well, they probably are a Republican, I shouldn't hold their hand, or any of the other ridiculous things that we think about. If we can do it in there, why can't we do it out here?
Thank you, Ms. Desiree. Ms. Darlene Clark.
Last week, last Tuesday, Mayor Grimer brought up a comment, and I know he was talking to me about attacking a council person in their absence. I am not attacking anyone. I'm actually bringing to the council the questions that's been asked by me to bring to the council. It's noticeable that Brad Nicholson is not here. It's always noticeable when Bradford's not here and other people is not here. And as I said to you guys many times before, you have people all over from Lansing, Florida, Chicago, New York, all over the United States looking at this council meeting for their own reasons. So when a council person is not here, but you have just passed a resolution to get a pay increase. Now, that pay increase that you guys get is not deducting for absence. It's not saying that if you don't come on this certain day, that you don't get paid. You still get paid. So when the people ask a question out of concern, where is a council person, may it be Brad Nicholson, may it be Rutherford, may it be even you, President, or Pro Tem, may it be anyone on the council seat from 1 to 7. The people have a right to, when they're confused about something, is to ask the question. They can't come here to ask the question, so they send me. And if transparency is supposed to be your New Year's resolution to help the people to understand the council better, then be transparent and get into the truth and not feel so offended when the people want to know. Now, I ask the questions that the people want to know. And if you're offended that I'm asking these questions, then you're showing your hand. You're showing your credibility that you're not concerned about transparency. Tim Grimer showed his hand last week. He's running for election. He started his campaign a little earlier than normal, so he wants to find a hitting board. But what you cannot find is what the people see. When a council person is not here, the people will ask questions.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Minister Veronica Taylor.
First, I honor God, who's the head of my life. I would like to thank you all for all you all that voted for me to get the Martin Luther King Justice Award. I will bring the award to you all. It was deeply appreciated by my city recognizing me. This whole country recognized me. But first, I found a church home that I really love. It's New Springfield. And before I bring it before you all in this city, I would like to take it home first. And I love New Springfield. I found a church that loved me. And I want to be there and give them the opportunity because they made sure every day and put it on their website and their family. And as it feeling like family in a church after 7 years being here, I am very much happy to be able to take it. I love Pontiac, and I know y'all love me because I seen how many of you all voted for me to get that Justice Award. Trust me, to bring it home, it brought tears to my eyes. And I want to thank you all from Chicago, New York, California, LA, Mississippi, Alabama, my hometown. Listen, I love you all, and I thank you so much for learning how to vote going to be in 2025. Due to bring this home to Pontiac, it brings tears to my eyes. But I want to let you know, I did not forget or leave it at home intentionally not to see the award. But let me take it home to my first church home that loved me enough to bring me into their hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. At this time, that concludes public comment. President McGinnis.
Okay, we are now. Thank you, Pro Tem Carrington. We are now at the one discussion item. City Council wanted to delve into a topic that will be a continuing conversation, but better preparation for winter weather emergencies in the city of Pontiac. We have, of course, the reality that in any season of the year, weather emergencies can emerge. And there's a unique degree of challenges that come with a winter weather emergency. And so when a snow emergency or winter weather emergency is declared in the city council is very interested in seeing more proactive plans in place. So that way, months in advance, the entire city knows what will trigger and fall into place. We have seen in other cities, they have code blue. So Lansing or Detroit, they have code blue that causes automatically, once there's a certain temperature issue or power outage issue, that it results in certain actions being taken, where there's public and private resources that are become available, facilities that will become warming centers, the hours that they would be in, making sure that they're staffed. And we recognize that in the midst of a current winter weather emergency, now isn't the most ideal time to begin laying that foundation, but we want emergency plans in place for future weather emergencies, both winter and summer. And so it's something that's a priority for the City Council, and we're going to keep delving into so that way we can make sure that everything's in place. So we just wanted to raise that. We are looking for codifying that into ordinance so that way it's not speculation or it's not depending on who's in a position at that time or who's on staff. We want it to be built in as part of the Pontiac game plan. And so, again, this won't be the only time we delve into this, but it's really relevant now. And I want to thank all the city council members who have been very busy trying to wrap their arms around the many requests for assistance and coordination of resources. Councilman Parker alone was spending last night staffing a warming center overnight and is still making time to be here. So thank you for burning the reverse midnight oil. But I want to give the floor to council members and their reflections. Pro Tem Carrington?
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. I think you really sum it up. As far as the council, it's very important that we have a plan of action when it comes to these particular situation. A plan that actually works with the community organizations that are already providing some of these things. But I definitely would like to have some kind of funding allocated to these particular community organizations that actually are doing the work. So we take some of that burden off those particular churches or nonprofit organizations that open up their facilities during this time. I also want to thank Councilwoman Melanie Rutherford, as well as Councilman Goodman for working on this the last few days as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and to that point, Councilman Rutherford, anyone that's active on social media would have seen how proactive she was in trying to get resources and information to residents to engage and activate many of the nonprofit organizations and churches to get the word out. And so I know that she worked very, very hard. We saw that firsthand in collaborating with her this weekend. So I just want to really emphasize that, and that was reflected in a few different news stories in the Oakland Press over the last few days. Councilman Goodman, you have the floor.
Yeah, I also want to give a big shout out and thank you to Councilman Rutherford for being so adamant about that, because I was also working on things early that morning. It just so happened early in the morning, we end up calling each other around the same exact time to work on some things. Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, it is massively important that we have a community emergency response plan, not just for weather events, but in general, because any number of things can happen. We live in the reality in which we hope that good things always happen, but sometimes bad things do also happen, and we need to be prepared for it. I mean, just speaking personally from like the large number of homeless people who live in my district to, I mean, just the fact that last year during the massive power outage, my grandma not only did not have working heat, but her furnace was not working and the power was out. So during the last winter, it was a very, very rough time for trying to make sure that, you know, she was good. And I know that she is not an exception, but an example of what many people go through when these weather events happen. So I am happy that it seems that council and the administration all agree on working on that for the safety of all of our city's residents. So I am excited to get to work on that in any way that we can.
Thank you. Councilman Parker.
Thank you, Brother President. I just, again, want to thank all of those who are part of the City Council for how they engaged themselves as they're trying to make sure that when the emergency happened, we tried to get immediate assistance to everybody. I want to thank those who work from the city. We had some county involvement. We had the religious community involvement. We had some private businesses involvement. We even had our own council liaison making calls. This was a joint effort of everybody that was involved. Even Minister Taylor was involved in making sure she was reporting on streets and what needed to be done. It was just a whole collective body of people that was out there trying to make sure that the needs of the city was met. And one of the things I was doing last night, even as I was helping to staff the warming center, was I was checking to see what was the overall attendance at some warming centers. And so we know that we have some work to do, because one of the questions that came up is, how do you get information to people who don't have cell phones, who don't have TVs, who don't have social media, who don't have anybody that's wondering, how do we get that information to them? I want to also thank the Sheriff's Department, because they was made aware that if they saw anybody on the street, just ask them, tell them where the warming centers was. And so there was a collective effort from everybody to get people what they needed. And yet we know that sometimes you can't wait till the last minute for people to know stuff. And so one of the things we're going to be working on is a community response plan, so that we know if the temperature drops to a certain level, we do this, and if it drops to that level, we do that. If it goes high, we do this. If the power goes out, we do that. We need something in place so those people, because Pontiac operates more so than any other city I've ever been in, primarily by word of mouth. And so we have to get the word to people quicker, because when the snow falls and the temperature drops, we may not see some of those people, but somebody else will probably see them that can say, oh, we heard this and we know that. So as we put this thing in place, it's going to require a city effort to make sure that the information gets to whoever needs to get it, so that when things happen, people know within, they know automatically when it drops to this point and I'm cold, I can go here, 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 or there. And when we do that, we will be doing what we were called to do, meeting the needs of the city at the time the city needs to need their needs met. I also want to thank Red Cross, who provided some blankets and I believe some cots, and the county provided some cots, and I think they was trying to help out even with getting some of the streets plowed up and everything. It was just a good effort, and I want to thank all those who was involved.
Further discussion? I do envision long-term that both of our senior centers will be refuges and beacons in a crisis. So that way, let's say there's brownouts or power outages in a heat wave. Seniors in need, community members in need will know instinctively, because this has happened, I can go to 52 Bagley or 990 Joslin. That in the future it becomes the built-in, it's known, it's the beacon, it's the anchor, it's the hub that can allow that safety and and in this instance, that warmth. I'm really grateful by the grace of God that more power outages did not happen in our city this go around. When that first, waves of weather was happening and the freezes and the weight of the thick, heavy snow, I thought we were going to have a lot worse. So thank God that it did not go there. But we all know it has gone there before. It will go there again. And so it can get even more dire. So I pray that everyone is able to be safe and warm, that you are keeping animals inside, your pets inside, safe and warm. These are not usual cold winter days. These are extreme and severe winter weather days, and we have more of that. Deputy Mayor, do you want to say anything further and offer the extended times that the senior centers are open? They were open today, and my understanding is that they'll be open as extended hours warming centers further. I want to give you the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Yes. So the centers are in fact open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. We unfortunately are not set up for overnight hours, but for daytime hours, we are open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m.
And I do want to emphasize that crises like this demonstrate why we need a fully functioning, fully staffed leadership of all of our departments. It is Herculean what Public Works has been able to do, considering there is currently no director of the Public Works, and that there are multiple vacancies, that hiring that needs to be done in various different positions. So I know that there's a lot of extensive hours that city employees are working, overtime that city employees are working, and these are brutal conditions. We all know that firsthand. These are the conditions with which they're working. So I really want to celebrate and thank them for that. And the City Council has been very clear and very proactive. We are voting for the resources. We are voting for we are stand ready to make those compensation changes so that way we can ensure that we are fully staffed, fully operational, and then in a crisis, firing on all cylinders. And so that's something that's really important that we're going to be very closely looking at consistently, because you gotta be prepared as a community to be able to respond to these emergencies. Any further discussion? All right, we'll keep this conversation going. That concludes that discussion item. We are now at communications. Oakland County's Historical Society marks their 150th anniversary this Sunday, the 21st at 2:00 p.m. It marks 150 years to the day and to the hour that the Historical Society first met in 1874 at the county courthouse in downtown Pontiac. That's at the Crowfoot, 1 South Saginaw Street in downtown Pontiac. It's also doubling as my 40th birthday party. The next District 2 monthly community advisory meeting is Monday, January 22nd, 7 p.m. at Goldner Walsh. Contact Councilman Brett Nicholson for more information. In carrying on with what Ms. Wright shared about Oakland University and with Black History Month, many of the activities that they have, their Center for Public Humanities is presenting Spreading the Word, revisiting the Pontiac Oral History Archive, and that's on Thursday, January 25th at 12 noon in the Kresge Library on OU's campus. In the 1970s, Dr. Janetta Brazel conducted oral histories with African-American seniors, older Black members of our community, interviewing them about life in Pontiac when they first came in the Great Migration, what it was like living in Southwest Pontiac under segregated times, the corner, the life, the vitality. There are so many oral histories that were taken, and so it's reviewing and revisiting that project. Oakland University has gotten funding where they've interviewed some of the descendants of those that were interviewed in the 1970s to come full circle with that oral history project. This is a free presentation with Dr. Brazel on January 25th at 12 noon. For more info, contact the Center for Public Humanities their email is humanities@oakland.edu. You can either go in person, and that's where I got my free ticket, but there's also a Zoom option. So if you just want to, from the comfort and warmth of wherever you're at, you can listen in and learn more. The next District 4 Community Council meeting is Thursday, January 25th, 6 p.m. at New Mount Moriah International Church, 313 East Walton Boulevard. Contact City Councilman Kathleen James for more information. The next District 1 monthly meeting is January 27th, Saturday, January 27th from 3 to 5 p.m., held at the Alley Cat. That's 31 North Saginaw. Contact City Councilwoman Melanie Rutherford for more information. Accent Pontiac has their Winter Showcase concert on February 15th at 5:30 p.m., held at the Crowfoot Ballroom, 1 South Saginaw Street in downtown Pontiac. And the next District 6 community meeting is on February 22nd, 2024, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the Ruth Peterson Center, 990 Joslin. Contact City Councilman and Pro Tem William Carrington for more information. The next District 5 meeting would be the first Thursday.
I believe it's February 8th.
February 8th. So that'd be a Thursday, 6
p.m.
Lions Den with an online option as well. Got anything in the hopper for 3?
Not yet.
To be determined. And it'll be February 12th for the next one for District 7. Same time and place, that second Monday of every month. All right. With that, we turn the floor to the Deputy Mayor to offer up Mayor's Office communications.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few communications. One is that normally Council President will tell you that there are additional announcements on the flyers, on the agendas. That is true. You can find those agendas outside of the City Hall chambers, outside of the City Council chambers, but you can also find them online at pontiac.mi.us. So there are a lot of announcements there. I will just go over a few here for you. The first is a reminder that we are continually signing up people for our youth rec programs. You can contact us at 248-758-3037, or you can visit the city's website, which I just gave you, and navigate to the youth recreation and click on it. Or if you are so inclined, you can go directly to pontiacrecreation.recdesk.com. And there are many, many different programs for you to get your youth signed up for. Remember that the Youth Millage has already paid for that, so this is at no additional charge to you. You just have to get them there. Additionally, the Winterfest will be this Saturday, January 20th, from 5 to 8 p.m. right here at City Hall grounds. We did begin this meeting by talking about the weather. We are watching that, but it is in fact wintertime, and so this is the Winterfest. So we will have s'mores, we will have warming stations, and the building will be open in case it is just a little bit too cold. And if it is truly, truly too cold to the point where they would have canceled school, we will have to find out something else to do. But right now, we are expecting that by Saturday, we will be back to normal January temperatures. The last thing that I would like to remind everyone is that also on Saturday, January 20th, we will have a tenants' rights town hall that will be from 11 to 1 p.m. at the Robert Bowen Center. We will have another session of that on Monday, January 29th from 5:30 to 7 p.m., also at the Bowen Center. And then finally, on February 1st from 11 to 1 p.m., we will have yet a third tenants' rights town hall meeting here at Pontiac City Hall. And those are the announcements for today, sir.
Thank you. Clerk Doyle, clerk's announcements.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two, the City Clerk's Office is hiring Election Day inspectors for the upcoming presidential primary election on February 27th. Contact Mary Castro in the clerk's office at 248-758-3008. So 248-758-3008 for more information. We're primarily looking for workers to work all day. It's an extended day from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. In addition, absentee ballots will be available in the clerk's office beginning on January 18th. I know a number of citizens have already returned their applications, and beginning January 18th, by state law, is the first day that we can legally mail you your ballot. So start looking out for your ballot after January 18th, but you can also come in person in the clerk's office and begin voting on January 18th. The clerk's office hours are from 8:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor Stevens, any closing comments?
Yes, sir, thank you. Just a few comments, primarily based on things that we heard tonight. The first is snow removal. And so with snow removal, I actually want to start, it might sound crazy, but I actually want to start by giving a very big thank you and kudos to our DPW department. What some of you may not know is that over this weekend, we had several of our trucks go down, and all of you know that we are currently without a DPW facility. And so our mechanics were actually working on those trucks in this weather outside and getting them up and running as quickly as they could. As one truck went down and was in service, they had the other ones and they were getting up and running. They were able to clear all of the major roads. We strive for 24 hours within the time that the snow finishes to have all of our major roads passable. They were able to do that. But then additionally, even with their trucks being down, they were able this weekend to not only finish the major roads, but to get into the neighborhoods and to finish the neighborhoods. They did not get the neighborhood streets finished until today. Which led to some difficulty with the snowpack and different things that we won't get into. But I will say that they did a yeoman's job with only having half of their fleet at any time available. That is something that we are looking into, not just looking into, we are actually planning for. The issue is just very simple. The city did not order new trucks about 3 to 4 years ago when we should have. It is a 36-month lead time on new vehicles. So even if we ordered them today, there is 3 years before we get those. We're talking brand new trucks, not used trucks. To get brand new trucks, it's a 3-year lead time. So we actually will be ordering new vehicles this year so that we can have them in the future. And we're actually going to start a rotation so that we're not just ordering them once, but we are ordering them on a rolling basis. So I wanted to say that about the snow removal. The other thing I wanted to say about snow removal that came up specifically tonight was the concept of using brine. So brine definitely is, so for those of you who don't know, brine is a mixture of liquid and salt. Sometimes they also add in beet juice, which is sugar. The idea is a very simple idea from your high school chemistry class that salt and sugar, when added to liquid, makes the freezing temperature of that liquid higher, so that when you put that down on the surface, any snow or ice that falls will be less likely to accumulate as ice because the melting temperature will have been raised because of the brine. And brine also has it is effective in lower temperatures than salt itself because it's already mixed into the water. So it will actually work at temperatures lower than what salt works. But even with that being said, the temperatures were so low this weekend that even brine would not have been effective. In addition to that, the last time that the city was actually using brine was approximately 2013, and that coincides with the time that the emergency manager was here, and the emergency manager sold our DPW department, which is where we mixed and made our brine. So we have not had an area where we can mix and make brine, and therefore we have not been using brine. We also sold the trucks that we had at that time, which were equipped for putting out the brine. The trucks that we have now are not equipped and cannot be equipped for distributing brine. The trucks that we are looking at buying would be equipped to do that. There was also talk about the Phoenix Plaza. I just want to remind everyone that we have been very clear about what is going to happen. The county will be demolishing the building, and part of the agreement is that the actual amphitheater portion of the building, which is approximately a 2-acre rectangle, must be reconveyed to the city somewhere along Saginaw and Water Street. So we will no longer have an amphitheater elevated on top of a parking garage. We will have an amphitheater at ground level. So the snow removal, the plaza, also about the plaza, I do just want to mention that although the grass and the chairs and the stage itself were all in very good condition, the rest of the plaza was not. The elevators were not working. The shade that you see over the plaza, which is currently torn, there's a long history there, but the answer is very simple. What we currently have was the best design that could be salvaged out of what was originally designed. And essentially, it was a kite 40 feet in the air that was going to tear every time we had a strong enough windstorm because it was not designed properly. And then finally, as far as individuals leaving the city for other jobs, that does happen, unfortunately, from time to time, not just with the city, but with all organizations. And just the specific individual that was being discussed today, there is more than what may have been shared with other members as far as why that individual left the city. So that is all of that I have today. Thank you.
Okay, Clerk Doyle, closing comments?
No closing comments, Mr. President.
Okay. What's going on here?
Unlimited time.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Councilman Parker, I'll work on this.
Okay. Thank you, Brother President. I don't have very many comments made. Again, I want to thank all the people that was involved in making sure that the snow was removed, that the warming centers was open, churches and organizations that did that. I want to thank each and every person who stayed up and manned some of those places that had to be manned 24 hours a day. I want to thank those who transported people to warming centers. I want to thank those who kept the city apprised as to where the snow needed to be removed from. And oh, by the way, some of us was out Friday night, and we know some of the roads looked bad, and some of them didn't. I know that the city was doing the best as they could. Some people got stuck, some people didn't. I was hauling people back and trying to get them home and everything, so I know some of the roads looked very good. Even late Friday night, I was up early Saturday morning, and I know the roads looked a whole lot better than they did Friday night. So thank you, Mayor. There was some progress being made, and yet we know that there's still work to be done, because as they was removing snow was still falling. And it's hard to keep snow off when it's falling right behind your movement. And so we just thank you. I think we did the best we could in the time we had and the provinces we did. So thank you for all that took place. This announcement is for those who reside in District 5. Some of you may remember that there was a company by the name of Contour Windows who wanted to put a window manufacturing company on Perry Street space there by the Galloway Park. To that end, there will be a meeting on January 22nd at 6 p.m. in these council chambers. They want to begin the process of getting the community input on that process, and we invite each and every one of you that may have some interest in what they're trying to do on Perry Street, that you would come to the meeting on January 22nd, 6 p.m., council room chambers, so that we can give them an understanding as for the first day what they're thinking about doing is something we want done, and certainly if we can get that done, then perhaps we won't have to sit here in council for 2 hours discussing why we didn't come to tell them what we wanted. Amen, somebody. So please come out on January 22nd, that's Monday, 6 p.m., Chambers, council chambers. I was told it would be available, and we will have some people from planning to be here as well to discuss the project that is being proposed for the vacant land on Perry Street. I want to announce to everybody that the District 5 City Council CDC meeting will be February 8, 2024, 6 p.m. in the Lions Den. Food will be served. You're still available on Zoom. You can log on to Zoom if you're incapable of coming to the meeting or sick and don't want to come out in the cold. You can log on to Zoom. That is available for you as well. But we would like more participation in our CDC meetings. This is where we discuss, and I truly know the mayor is usually there, the deputy mayor is usually there. We have the departmental directors there, and I'm sure they get disappointed that they spend their time coming and we don't come. So if you really want to know what's going on in the city, if you can't come, log on, because we are moving forward. District 5 is moving forward, and we want you to come with us. So please come to the meeting. Finally,
that does conclude your time.
Oh, my time. Okay. Well, I was done anyway.
Councilman Kathleen James, District 4.
Yes, I have a few things. First of all, I also want to thank all of the people, our Councilwoman Rutherford, our President Mike McGinnis, and Pastor Parker, all the ones who participated and worked to try to open up the centers, and Mike's comments about the commitment that we want to make as a council, that we would like to see a real emergency plan put in place in this city. so that when these things come up, everybody knows what the game plan is. And so that is one of our priorities, and we are going to see to it that that happens, hopefully within the next 12 months. Also, on Monday, January the 22nd, will be our first meeting for 2024 of the Parks, Recreation, and Public Works Subcommittee. We will be welcoming our new Parks, Recreation, and Public Works, not Public Works, our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Terrence Price, to that meeting. And also, as President McGinnis said, our District 4 Community Council meeting will take place on the 25th, on Thursday, at the new Mount Moriah International Church. And with that, I will say goodnight.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service to the city of Pontiac. Councilman Mikhail Goodman, District 3.
Yeah, I can be relatively short. Again, thank you to all my colleagues and really everyone in the city who did what they could to make sure that people were protected and covered over this past weekend and with the very cold weather. I mean, to keep things simple and short, honestly, I can't really think of anything super important to say other than if you live in District 3, so I'm talking specifically to Iowa, please reach out to me. I am trying to get a District 3 community group together. That way I can have some more participation in terms of what's happening in our district. Like we've been able to accomplish things such as getting $10 million for HUD and getting the roads repaved for Northrop Farms. But there are obviously district priorities that I try to piece together as much as I can, but it would make things so much easier if I had residents from my district come out and tell me specifically things that they would want me to work on, because that's a very good use of my time, given that I'm elected to do exactly that. So I encourage any of you, reach out to me. If you live in District 3, my phone number for the city is 248-758-3015. Again, that's 248-758-3015. Again, if you live in District 3 and you want to be participate in any way, whether it just be complaining to me, I would very much accept that and would welcome it in every possible way. But if you also want to, get your hands dirty and do some of the really important community work and brainstorming, I would very much appreciate that as well. Our District 3 community meeting will be in the early part of February. I haven't established a date for it yet, and that will not be its permanent date. It's just in the later part of the month when it typically would be. I will probably be out of town for that time. So that information will be coming soon. And then also using my time in my closing comment to direct this towards the deputy mayor. There are a decent number of side streets in District 3 that very much need to be plowed. I know with the weather and everything, but I do want to highlight it because I was driving earlier and there is a car that is stuck in some snow embankment at an intersection off a side street. And I do know that we've been trying very hard. I mean, especially driving through District 3 myself. But it is a thing that we should get on because there are enough slick spots. And District 3 being as hilly as it is, stopping at all will get you stuck. The night of our
Friday
on Friday before going to the retreat, trying to get back home, I did get stuck. Not only coming down Paddock to get there, almost got stuck on MLK, but also getting stuck going home up Baldwin. So I know it's a rough time out here. So if you can address that, I know a lot of residents across the city would be happy. Thank you.
Pro Tem Carrington, District 6.
This will be pretty quick. I just want to say thank everyone for coming out tonight, those online as well. The next District 6 community meeting is February 22nd at Ruth Peterson at 5 to 6:30 p.m. So please come out. Also want to thank the DPW department for the work that they was doing this past weekend, as well as Councilman Parker, who we seen a big old tree down in the No subdivision, and he said let's get out here and get it out the way, which was blocking traffic from going down Carr Street. It was a pretty heavy tree, so. But I just want to thank Councilman Parker as well as one of the neighbors that saw us out there. come out to assist us in moving that tree out the way so residents can pass freely during the snowstorms this past weekend. Again, good night.
Thank you, sir.
May I have about 30 good seconds?
Yes, he didn't use them, so you got them.
Thank you, sir.
That's the thank you for moving that tree.
Tree. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to the GPCC, Pastor Jones, and his organization for arranging the Martin Luther King March yesterday. And I want to thank each and every person who came out in the weather to march with us. It was a quick march. I guarantee it was a quick march. When we got there, I want to thank the GPCC for what they did at the Marriott, the program they put on at the Centerpoint Marriott. And I want to thank all the OCMF members who came out and supported. Just want to remind us that we all work better when we work together. And with that, I say, have a great evening, Pontiac.
Collective working responsibility is what he's talking about. And also, I want to congratulate him from being the new president of the Oakland County Ministerial Alliance?
Ministerial Fellowship.
Yes, the fellowship. So congratulations on that appointment as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike McGinnis, District 7. I really want to underscore that point. So as of Sunday's swearing in, Councilman William Parker Jr., Pastor William Parker Jr. of New Springfield Missionary Baptist Church, is the new president of the Oakland County Ministerial Fellowship. And so on behalf of all the residents of District 7 and the entire city, congratulations, Godspeed, and we, of course, look forward to partnering with you in that capacity. Thank you to all of the residents who went above and beyond on the east side to care for your neighbors in need, especially our seniors, those that physically, health-wise, aren't able to exert themselves or put themselves in harm's way. God bless you for doing it, because there are so many neighbors, so many family members that went above and beyond, as you do all the time. You are unsung heroes for Pontiac, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Many of your neighbors know it, see it, respect you greatly for it, and we know that you won't always be able to do it or won't always be able to do it every time, and it's about paying it forward. So to our younger neighbors, there will be a time with those that were able-bodied and were helping out seniors and those in need, they will need the help. And so it's about passing the baton and us continue to look out for one another and holding it down for our East Side neighbors. So I just want to really express my gratitude for that. Attended the Martin Luther King program at McLaren Oakland Hospital downtown yesterday morning. Thank you to everyone that braved the cold and participated in that, and for the very meaningful luncheon at the Centerpoint Marriott on Pontiac's East Side. For the sake of time, I will say it there. I hope everyone's safe, everyone's warm, and I hope everyone can look as cool as Mikhail Goodman. Look at that cool blazer. And I'm wearing 4 layers. I have not gained weight. I just didn't want to be cold coming here from living nearby. These are 4 layers of sweaters, so don't judge me for weight gain. That's what they all say. All right, is there a motion to adjourn this evening's
Moved by
meeting?
Carrington.
Support. It's been moved by Pro Tem Carrington, seconded by Councilman Parker, that we adjourn this evening's city council meeting. Hearing no discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle.
Goodman?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Carrington?
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries.